If you're over 60, you need to hear this, because what I'm about to reveal could change how you look at every meal in your fridge, especially your leftovers. As a doctor with over 30 years of experience working with seniors, I've seen this one simple habit make a massive difference in digestion, brain clarity, mobility, and yes, even independence. It's not just about what you eat, it's how you reheat it. Most people think warming up yesterday's food is harmless, but here's the surprising truth. Certain foods, when reheated, transform in ways that can quietly inflame your joints, disturb your gut, spike your blood sugar, or even cloud your memory. Others, when properly warmed, become more powerful allies in your fight against aging. In this video, I'm breaking down seniors, 3 foods you should never reheat, and 3 you must reheat. You'll discover the science behind it, the real-life consequences, and the simple changes that can protect your energy, balance, and strength, starting today. So if you're serious about staying sharp, mobile, and independent well into your 70s and 80s, stick with me. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from today? Drop a quick comment below and feel free to ask any questions you might have. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video from Be Healthy Seniors, your go-to source for trusted health advice. If you're watching right now, let me know you're here. Type 1 in the comments if this message speaks to you, or 0 if you're still deciding. This channel was built with you in mind, to help you live stronger, feel better, and enjoy every chapter of life with more energy and confidence. So join us, and let's grow healthier together. Let's begin with the first one, warm oatmeal. Among the many breakfast staples recommended to seniors, oatmeal stands out not just for its comfort, but for its remarkable biochemical transformation when properly prepared and reheated. This isn't folk wisdom. It's a case study in how food preparation directly influences functional health, particularly for aging adults. Here's the science. When you cook oatmeal and allow it to cool, the molecular structure of the starch changes, a process known as retrogradation. During this cooling phase, some of the digestible starches are converted into resistant starch, RS3 to be precise, which resists digestion in the small intestine and instead travels to the colon, where it becomes a prebiotic, fuel for beneficial gut microbiota. This matters because the gut microbiome plays a central role in systemic inflammation, glucose regulation, neuroimmune signaling, and even the aging process itself. According to a 2020 review in Nutrients by Dr. Christopher A. Lowry and colleagues from the University of Colorado, a diverse microbiota composition in seniors is directly linked to improved insulin sensitivity, cognitive resilience, and lower levels of circulating pro-inflammatory cytokines such as IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Reheated oatmeal, especially after being cooled overnight, is one of the few everyday foods that naturally enhances resistant starch levels without requiring expensive supplements or exotic ingredients. But that's only the beginning. Oatmeal is also rich in beta-glucan, a form of soluble fiber, clinically shown to bind with bile acids in the intestine and escort them out of the body. This has a direct cholesterol-lowering effect. In fact, a comprehensive meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Whitehead et al., 2014, involving over 28 randomized controlled trials confirmed that a daily intake of at least 3 grams of beta-glucan from oats can reduce LDL cholesterol by 5 to 10%, a clinically significant impact, particularly for seniors managing atherosclerosis or post-statin side effects. Additionally, beta-glucan has been shown to modulate postprandial glycemic response, which is crucial for seniors with insulin resistance or pre-diabetes. When reheated gently, never boiled again, oatmeal retains these properties while becoming even more digestible, offering a low glycemic index and prolonged satiety. From a neurometabolic perspective, this also affects mood and mental clarity. According to a 2022 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, long-term elevation in blood glucose is associated with microvascular damage to the hippocampus and executive brain regions in older adults. Reheated oatmeal supports steady energy, better focus, and fewer glucose crashes throughout the morning. Now, let's not ignore the emotional dimension. A warm bowl of oatmeal, especially on a quiet morning, does more than nourish. It creates ritual. It grounds the nervous system. It replaces processed sugary breakfast options with something both gentle and dignified. For seniors with dental issues, poor appetite, or early-stage cognitive decline, a soft, warm, reheated bowl of oats becomes not only easier to consume, but easier to enjoy. And when you enhance it with a few key additions, walnuts for omega-3 fatty acids and brain protection, cinnamon for insulin sensitivity, as shown in Diabetes Care 2003 by Kahn et al., or wild blueberries for anthocyanin-rich neuroprotection, you turn a modest dish into a therapeutic meal. In my own practice, I often recommend patients prep their oatmeal in batches, steel-cut or rolled oats, cooked in water or almond milk, cooled overnight, and gently reheated with added cinnamon or flax seeds. Patients consistently report less bloating, more sustained energy, better bowel regularity, and lower fasting glucose within just a few weeks. So the next time you make a pot of oatmeal, don't toss what's left. Treat it like medicine. Store it properly, glass container, sealed, refrigerated, and reheat gently the next morning. Don't microwave on high. Instead, warm it with a splash of water or plant milk over low heat. Let it come back to life. Because what you're holding in that bowl isn't just breakfast. It's prebiotic therapy. It's metabolic balance. It's brain protection. It's a warm, quiet defense against aging itself. Let's move to number 2, a food that's often underestimated yet becomes a true healing force for joints, immunity, hydration, and vascular support when reheated. Homemade vegetable soup. From a medical standpoint, soup isn't just a comfort food, it's a functional medicine strategy. In fact, when prepared and reheated properly, it serves as a gentle delivery system for some of the most crucial compounds the aging body requires. Let's begin with the science of simmering. When vegetables such as carrots, celery, onions, garlic, leeks, sweet potatoes, and leafy greens are slowly cooked, the heat breaks down plant cell walls and releases micronutrients, many of which are water-soluble and end up in the broth. But that's only part 1. When cooled and then reheated, the soup undergoes a second phase of nutrient liberation. This time, more phytonutrients, including polyphenols and flavonoids, become bioavailable, and the compounds soften further, making them easier to absorb for older adults with compromised digestion or reduced enzyme output. One of the most clinically relevant examples is quercetin, found in onions. It's a flavonoid with potent anti-inflammatory and antihistamine properties, and studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown that quercetin reduces markers of oxidative stress and endothelial dysfunction, both of which are precursors to heart disease and cognitive decline. Another compound, allicin, forms when garlic is chopped and lightly cooked. Allicin has been shown to support immune modulation, improve circulation, and may even exert antimicrobial effects against gut pathogens that become more common in seniors. A study in Phytomedicine 2014 by Amagas et al. Found that garlic extract reduced the incidence and duration of upper respiratory infections in older adults by over 60% compared to placebo. And the benefits go even deeper. A landmark 2019 cohort study published in the Journal of Gerontology, Medical Sciences tracked over 1,000 seniors for 5 years. It found that those who consumed homemade vegetable-based soups at least 4 times per week had significantly lower levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6, 2 of the most reliable biomarkers of systemic inflammation. These markers are commonly elevated in osteoarthritis, atherosclerosis, diabetes, and even early Alzheimer's disease. Reheating vegetable soup actually enhances this anti-inflammatory effect when combined with key spices. Adding turmeric, rich in curcumin, or ginger, known for its gastrointestinal support and circulatory enhancement, transforms your soup into a true nutritional therapy. And here's the clinical pearl. Curcumin absorption improves significantly when heated in the presence of fat, like olive oil, and paired with black pepper, due to piperine. This combination has been shown in molecular nutrition and food research to increase bioavailability by up to 2,000%. Now let's talk sodium, a real concern for seniors. Canned soups and commercial bouillon cubes are often sodium bombs, with up to 900 milligrams per cup, contributing to fluid retention, elevated blood pressure, and heart strain. For seniors already dealing with hypertension, this is dangerous. That's why I always advise, build your broth from real ingredients. Use garlic, onion, fresh herbs like parsley and thyme, and seaweed or miso for umami without the salt overload. You'll be protecting your kidneys, not overworking them. From a vascular physiology perspective, soup offers another overlooked advantage. It supports thermoregulation and peripheral circulation. Older adults often experience cold hands and feet due to age-related vasoconstriction. But warm soup triggers vasodilation, gently increasing blood flow to extremities and supporting microvascular health. A small but significant way to improve comfort, nutrient delivery, and toxin clearance. There's also the matter of hydration, which is surprisingly neglected in older adults. Many seniors underdrink, especially in cooler months. Soup, being over 85% water by volume, quietly replenishes fluids while delivering electrolytes and trace minerals. It's especially helpful for those on diuretics, ACE inhibitors, or medications that increase urination and deplete potassium or magnesium. But food is never just biochemistry. From an emotional wellness lens, soup is memory. It's sensory therapy. It's the smell of a kitchen that once held your grandmother's hands, the warmth that cuts through loneliness in winter, and the act of caring for oneself in a world that often moves too fast. Many of my older patients, especially those living alone, report that reheated soup is one of the few meals they actually look forward to. Not just because it's easy to eat, but because it feels like a gesture of dignity and self-respect. And that matters. Because healthy aging is not just about mobility and memory. It's about maintaining a sense of wholeness and purpose, down to the very meals we choose to warm again. So here's my clinical advice. Make your soup in batches. Use real vegetables. Add turmeric, garlic, parsley, even lentils or beans. Store it in glass, and reheat it slowly. Let it infuse your kitchen with aroma. Let it tell your body, you are still strong, you are still worthy. In each bowl lies more than nourishment. It holds a form of silent medicine for the joints, the immune system, the blood vessels, the mind, and the soul. Let's now dive into number 3. Brown rice, one of the most underrated and misunderstood staples in a senior's kitchen. Too often, brown rice is overlooked in favor of its polished counterpart, white rice. But that decision has serious metabolic consequences, especially in older adults facing blood sugar instability, declining muscle mass, or magnesium deficiency. Let's break it down from a clinical nutrition standpoint. Unlike white rice, which has had its bran and germ layers removed, brown rice remains intact and whole, preserving a dense matrix of B vitamins, magnesium, selenium, and dietary fiber. These are not incidental nutrients. They're foundational for glucose metabolism, neuromuscular coordination, red blood cell formation, and blood pressure regulation, systems that decline predictably with age. What's truly fascinating and largely unknown by the general public is that brown rice shares a critical metabolic trait with oatmeal, the formation of resistant starch when cooled and reheated. Resistant starch, RS3, forms as gelatinized starch molecules realign during the cooling process. This transformation renders the starch less digestible in the small intestine, where it instead proceeds to the colon, feeding beneficial microbiota and supporting gut-derived short-chain fatty acid, SCFA production, particularly butyrate. A 2019 randomized clinical trial, published in Diabetes Research and Clinical Practice, demonstrated that older adults who consumed reheated brown rice, as opposed to freshly cooked white rice, experienced significantly lower postprandial glucose excursions, improved insulin sensitivity, and better satiety. For seniors managing type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, or metabolic syndrome, this shift isn't just recommended, it's essential. But there's more. Brown rice is one of the richest dietary sources of magnesium, a micronutrient involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including cardiac rhythm stabilization, nerve conduction, ATP production, and muscle contraction relaxation cycles. Yet magnesium deficiency is alarmingly prevalent in older adults, up to 60% according to the Journal of the American College of Nutrition, due in part to medications like diuretics, proton pump inhibitors, and metformin, which impair magnesium absorption or increase its urinary excretion. Deficiency in magnesium is associated with hypertension, muscle cramps, arrhythmias, and even cognitive dysfunction. A 2021 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience linked low magnesium status to increased risk of mild cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's disease. From a geriatric functional medicine lens, This makes brown rice a simple, affordable, and powerful nutritional intervention, particularly when paired with foods that further enhance its bioactivity. Here's what I advise in clinical practice. Batch cook your brown rice. Use filtered water or vegetable broth, simmer slowly, and store it in glass containers in the refrigerator. When reheating, always add a splash of water or broth and warm gently over low heat. Never blast it in the microwave on high. This preserves texture, nutrient integrity, and avoids the hardening that occurs with overcooked starches. From a culinary perspective, brown rice is versatile and highly modifiable for senior digestion. Combine it with steamed spinach or kale for added folate and fiber, lentils or mung beans for complementary plant proteins and iron, a drizzle of cold-pressed olive oil and a pinch of turmeric for anti-inflammatory synergy, especially beneficial for seniors with arthritic joint pain or metabolic inflammation. These combinations form what I call bioactive plates, meals that do more than fill. They modulate inflammatory pathways, feed the microbiome, and support musculoskeletal resilience. And let's not overlook the emotional weight of rice. For many older adults, rice isn't just food. It's familiarity. It's tradition. It's a memory held in taste. When prepared with care and intention, reheated brown rice becomes a ritual of nourishment. It replaces the blood sugar chaos of white rice with stability. It reaffirms the body's capacity to digest, absorb, and respond well to whole foods, even in the later decades of life. And in my experience, those small affirmations add up. I've had patients with long-standing glucose control issues report measurable improvements: lower HbA1c levels, reduced fasting glucose, fewer energy crashes, within just 6 weeks of making this one shift. In frail seniors, it's also a soothing, low-allergen base that doesn't burden the stomach like gluten-containing grains. So let me leave you with this. Don't underestimate your leftovers. When handled wisely, reheated brown rice becomes more than sustenance. It becomes a tool for vascular health, neural repair, energy balance, and emotional grounding. It's not about restriction. It's about refinement, using food not just as fuel, but as a daily, quiet act of self-preservation and empowerment. So far, we've explored 3 foods: oatmeal, vegetable soup, and brown rice that actually become more therapeutic when reheated the right way. Each one supports a different pillar of senior health. Oatmeal for gut, brain, and cholesterol regulation. Soup for immunity, inflammation, and hydration. Brown rice for metabolic stability, muscle function, and magnesium replenishment. Together, they form a triad, a core toolkit for any senior looking to reclaim their strength, clarity, and dignity through smarter eating. But now, let's turn to the other side of the story. Because while some foods grow in strength when reheated, others break down into substances that quietly harm your joints, your blood vessels, and your memory. The next 3 foods, though often viewed as healthy or comforting, may be working against you when warmed a second time. And for seniors, that hidden risk can be the difference between feeling energized or drained, steady or unstable. Let's now turn our attention to the foods that may seem harmless or even nourishing on the surface, but carry hidden dangers when rewarmed. The truth is, not all leftovers are created equal. Some foods, when reheated, undergo structural transformations at the molecular level, turning formerly helpful compounds into ones that can stress your body, particularly if you're over 60. Let's begin with the first one, which often surprises even my most health-conscious patients: cooked mushrooms. Mushrooms are earthy, nutrient-dense, and often included in stir-fries, soups, or sautéed side dishes. They contain selenium, potassium, and immune-supporting polysaccharides like beta-glucans. However, the proteins in mushrooms are highly sensitive to heat. During the initial cooking, those proteins are denatured, meaning their structure is broken down for easier digestion. But when you allow cooked mushrooms to cool and then reheat them, particularly at inconsistent temperatures like in a microwave or on low stovetop heat, those same proteins may become denatured in a way that makes them difficult for the aging digestive system to handle. This process doesn't just cause gas or bloating. For seniors, it can lead to digestive fatigue, subtle nausea, and even immune disruption if the mushrooms are not stored and reheated safely. According to research published in the journal Food Control, improperly stored or reheated mushrooms can host bacteria such as Listeria monocytogenes or Clostridium botulinum, which are particularly dangerous for older adults with weakened immune responses or reduced stomach acid production. What makes mushrooms even riskier is that they're often cooked in oil or butter, fat mediums that can go rancid or oxidize when reheated. Oxidized fats create free radicals that trigger inflammatory pathways, leading to cumulative damage in the vascular and nervous systems over time. If you enjoy mushrooms, I advise eating them fresh, ideally within 2 hours of cooking, and avoiding reheating them altogether. Sauté only what you'll eat. Treat them like fresh greens, not a leftover. Your gut, your joints, and your immune system will thank you. Let's move to number 2. A breakfast favorite that holds great value when eaten fresh, but turns problematic with just one reheating. Eggs. Eggs are one of nature's most complete foods. They contain all 9 essential amino acids, healthy fats, and nutrients like choline for brain function and vitamin D for bone strength. For seniors, these nutrients are especially important. In fact, choline deficiency has been linked to memory decline in older adults, and eggs are one of the richest natural sources. But the moment a cooked egg is cooled and then reheated, especially in a microwave or frying pan, the structure of its proteins changes again. This restructuring makes the egg tougher to digest and more likely to cause gastrointestinal discomfort in seniors who already struggle with slow motility, enzyme deficiencies, or gallbladder issues. More concerning is the potential oxidation of cholesterol within the egg yolk. When cholesterol is exposed to high heat multiple times, especially alongside oils or fats used in scrambling or frying, it can oxidize into compounds like oxysterols, which have been implicated in endothelial damage, plaque buildup, and vascular inflammation. A 2016 study in arteriosclerosis, thrombosis, and vascular biology found that oxidized cholesterol was significantly more damaging to arterial linings than unoxidized cholesterol, particularly in older adults with pre-existing atherosclerosis. This means that something as innocent as reheating scrambled eggs could, over time, contribute to subtle but real cardiovascular risks. If you love eggs, and many seniors do, I suggest enjoying them boiled, poached, or gently scrambled fresh. Don't save leftover egg dishes for the next day. And if you're packing them in a lunch, be sure to keep them chilled and consume them cold, not reheated. Let's move now to number 3, the one that's most emotionally charged for many people. White potatoes. Potatoes are deeply woven into our cultural memory. They represent comfort, tradition, and warmth, especially for older generations who grew up with mashed potatoes at every family dinner. But nutritionally, they require a second look. White potatoes have a high glycemic index, which means they convert rapidly into glucose in the bloodstream. This leads to sharp blood sugar spikes, a concern even in freshly cooked form. But here's where it gets worse. When white potatoes are cooked, cooled, and then reheated, particularly with fats like butter, cheese, or cream, they undergo starch retrogradation, a process that increases resistant starch, yes, but also creates compounds that can worsen insulin resistance in vulnerable individuals. In a younger body, this may simply lead to a post-meal slump. In a senior's body, it can trigger a cascade of issues: chronic inflammation, disrupted vascular function, leg numbness, and even cognitive fog. And it doesn't stop there. The American Diabetes Association warns that reheated starchy foods can also impair microcirculation, especially in people with borderline diabetes or early-stage neuropathy. That means less blood flow to the legs, feet, and brain, and higher risk of falls, poor wound healing, and memory issues. Another hidden risk? Reheating potato dishes in plastic containers. Many seniors use convenient storage methods, unknowingly exposing themselves to BPA, bisphenol A, when microwaving. BPA is an endocrine disruptor, meaning it interferes with hormonal balance and has been linked to increased blood pressure and cardiovascular risk, particularly in people over 65. Potatoes are not inherently harmful. In fact, sweet potatoes are a rich source of antioxidants and fiber and make an excellent substitute. But white potatoes, when reheated, can go from a comfort food to a hidden metabolic stressor. If you find yourself feeling unusually tired, stiff, or mentally foggy after reheated potatoes, it's worth experimenting with replacements. Try mashed cauliflower, roasted root vegetables, or baked sweet potatoes instead. Let's pause here for a moment. Across these 3 foods, mushrooms, eggs, and white potatoes, we see a pattern emerge. Each is widely loved. Each is often eaten as a leftover. And each, when reheated, introduces a subtle stressor to the aging body, be it digestive load, oxidized fats, or inflammatory glycemic responses. And these stressors don't always announce themselves loudly. They creep in through fatigue, joint aches, poor sleep, or memory slips, symptoms that many people attribute to aging, when in fact, they're often nutritional. So the next time you open your fridge and consider reheating last night's dinner, ask yourself, is this food still working for me? Or is it quietly working against me? By now, I hope it's clear. What you reheat, how you reheat it, and when you choose not to reheat something, can quietly shape your health in the years ahead. These may seem like small decisions in the moment, but over time, they build the foundation or erosion of your energy, memory, digestion, and independence. Let's revisit the science with simplicity. Reheating oatmeal, vegetable soup, and brown rice can actually make them more healing. Why? Because these foods, when cooled and warmed again properly, retain or even improve key compounds like resistant starch, beta-glucan, polyphenols, and magnesium. They become slower to digest, more stabilizing for blood sugar, gentler on the stomach, and profoundly nourishing to your gut bacteria and immune system. These aren't just nutrients, they're messengers of protection, carrying signals that calm inflammation, support brain health, and keep your legs strong and steady. But the opposite is also true. Reheating mushrooms, eggs, and white potatoes quietly alters their chemistry in a way that creates digestive burdens, oxidized fats, and inflammation. And when your body is already working harder in its later years to maintain balance, these invisible stressors add weight. They don't announce themselves right away. Instead, they steal from you slowly, through joint pain, fatigue, foggy thinking, or just not feeling quite like yourself. As a physician, I've seen this play out in the clinic more times than I can count. One of my patients, Elaine, a 72-year-old retired teacher, came in with complaints of afternoon fatigue, bloating, and increasing joint stiffness. She thought it was just aging. But after a thorough review of her diet, we discovered a pattern. She was regularly reheating egg and potato breakfasts and leftover mushroom pasta dishes. Once we replaced those with reheated oatmeal, lentil soup, and brown rice stir-fry with steamed greens, her digestion calmed, her energy lifted, her walking improved. She even told me she felt lighter in her brain. It wasn't a medication, it was a shift in her relationship with food and in what she chose to reheat. And that brings us to you, because if you've watched this far, it tells me something important. You care. You're not passive about your health. You're seeking knowledge, truth, and practical tools that honor the life you've built and the independence you deserve. So here's what I want you to take with you. Aging well doesn't require dramatic overhauls. It requires small, intelligent pivots. It means warming the right foods for strength and letting go of the ones that quietly drain you. It means choosing meals that work with your body's rhythms, not against them. It means asking better questions at the fridge door. Not, is this still good? But rather, is this still good for me? When you start thinking this way, everything changes. You start noticing the way your body responds to what's on your plate. You start feeling steadier, sharper, more in control. And perhaps most importantly, you start regaining something that's too often lost in later life. Ownership of your health story. Because your age is not a diagnosis, it's an invitation to treat your body as an ally, to eat with purpose, to move with intention, to say no to what's convenient but harmful and yes to what's healing, even if it takes a little more care. You've earned this stage of life. Now nourish it like it matters, because it does. Every warm bowl of oatmeal, every reheated spoonful of soup, every carefully restored grain of rice isn't just a meal. It's a message that says, I'm still here, I still care, and I still choose strength. So now I want to hear from you. Take a moment and comment below. What's one food change you're going to make this week? Was there something you learned today that surprised you or inspired you? If you're ready to commit to smarter eating and more empowered living, type "one step stronger" in the comments. Your words might be the motivation another senior needs to begin their own healing journey. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Each week, we bring you videos just like this. Doctor-led, medically accurate, emotionally grounded content designed to help you stay sharp, mobile, and independent through every season of life. If you found this helpful, share it with someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a friend who's been struggling with fatigue or brain fog or stubborn joint pain. You could be the reason they make a life-changing shift. And finally, the next time you open your fridge, pause for just a second. Look at your leftovers, not as throwaways, not as conveniences, but as choices. Because in this chapter of life, every bite is a vote for energy, for strength, for clarity, for freedom. Choose wisely, reheat with intention, and never underestimate the quiet power of what's already on your plate.